The Tigers drop a very winnable game in Detroit against the Red Sox.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Wednesday, April 13th, 2022. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Tigers drop a game, as I said in the cold open, very winnable. Very, very winnable game. Should have won it. Straight up. Should have won that game. We should be talking about a Tigers victory. We should be talking about how the team's over 500 after starting off 1-2 the first series of the year. Should be celebrating right now. But the problems that we knew were going to be present are present. And we have a couple of other issues and areas that we're struggling in that we maybe didn't expect to struggle in so far this season. So we're going to go over we should just start with Tyler Alexander, because what a dog. What a dog. That was a phenomenal performance, phenomenal outing by Tyler Alexander. This loss is certainly not on him in the slightest. This was a very impressive outing by Tyler. Todd the Painter, as they call him in the clubhouse, and he has on his Players Weekend jersey. So he gets the start, and it sounds like he's only going to be in the rotation until Michael Pineda is ready and fully stretched out and ready to go again. But because of visa issues and getting signed, a week, or probably not a week, it was probably a few games into spring training. Spring training was already short as is. Just didn't have enough time to get fully stretched out into what he's used to and comfortable in. So he's in the minors. And Todd is up here as the fifth starter. We've had a ton of conversations about Tyler Alexander. A ton. I have voiced my opinion a plethora of times about him and his role. Everybody's got an opinion on him. Regardless of any of that, he was absolutely fantastic on Tuesday afternoon. Produced what? 8 whiffs? Yeah. 8 whiffs, caused 8 swings and misses, had 11 called strikes. That's a 19 total called strikes plus whiffs. And his percentage on that is 26%. So what that tells you is that one of every 4 pitches, goodness, 1 out of every 4 pitches that he threw was either a called strike or a swing and a miss. That's solid. And even more so, the cutter specifically is what wowed people, right? That was the big thing. His cutter was filthy. And if that's a pitch that he worked on in the offseason and a pitch that he can get more and more confident in, I mean, when you look at the pitch totals, right, he threw 73 pitches, 15 of them were the cutter, 34 of them were the sinker, 17 were the changeup. Then he had 4 as the slider and 3 as the four seam. But I would like to see the cutter be thrown more after today. I mean, why wouldn't you? Right? Unbelievable. How many of the whiffs? I keep losing my spot. I'm sorry. 3 of the 8 whiffs on the game were all off the cutter. 3 were on the sinker. 2 were on the changeup. But the called strikes whiff percentage, right? We talked about how that was 26% for his entire performance. It was 40% on the cutter. So he threw a cutter 15 times. 40% of those was either a swinging strike or a called strike. That is a very high number and is very, very impressive. Means it's a really effective pitch that was fooling people, whether it was fooling them into not swinging or fooling them into swinging and missing. It was a really effective pitch, and that's why I want him to throw it more. The CSW percentage, we'll just call it for the rest of the show. CSW, called strikes, whiffs percentage. For the changeup, was only 12% on 17 times thrown, was called for a strike 0 times and was whiffed on twice. And then the sinker was just under 30%, had 3 whiffs, and had 10 called strikes. 30% is a pretty solid number for one individual start on a specific pitch. Again, when you're a full starter, that is. But I mean, nothing comes close to how impressive the cutter was. I don't think the ball got put in play. Yeah, no. So he had 16 balls put in play and 14 foul balls on this game, right? Of all the foul balls, one of them was on the cutter. One of 14 was the cutter. And on the balls put in play, 0 of the 16 were on the Tyler Alexander cutter. Did not have it result in a single ball put into fair territory and only one foul, like I said. Really effective pitch. Really interested in seeing how he utilizes that going forward. Maybe they call it a little bit more. I'm not saying it has to completely just replace the sinker as his go-to pitch. That might be a little excessive off one start, but I would like to see it probably more than the changeup. And I love the changeup as a third option. Drop the what's the word I'm thinking of? Vertical drop, right? Drop. Why do I can't think of the word? Whatever. You get what I'm saying. Change the elevation. Bingo, bango. Change the elevation on the changeup and the speed. Make it drop a little bit. But I would really like to see the cutter be utilized more. Maybe out of 73 pitches, raise that 15 to 20. Maybe even like 22, 23. I just want I want to see how good this pitch can be and how effective it can be. Because today it was literally unhittable, right? So really, really good stuff from Tyler Alexander. And I know the ending was a little bit of a sour taste in everybody's mouth. And ideally, you would have liked him to obviously, right, go 6 shutout. That would have been cool. But even with how it kind of ended there, and he was giving up a lot more hard contact there by the end of the performance, doesn't change the fact that it was an incredibly effective outing, an unbelievable performance. And at the end of the day, from your 5th, and then when Pineda comes back, your 6th starter, you will gladly take 5 1/3, 2 runs given up. Every day of the week, you're taking that from a dude at the back end of your rotation. Okay? Really effective outing. Average exit velocity for Alexander this game was just about 84 miles an hour. That's phenomenal too. That's really low. Induced a ton of soft contact. It was getting his swings and misses. As far as whiffs go, for starters only, Scooble had 9. Tyler Alexander had 8. Those are the 2 clubhouse leaders of your starters. Alex Lang has a lot, but we'll get to him when we talk about the bullpen because the bullpen was kind of a train wreck yesterday as you're listening to this. But he, one time through the rotation, Tyler Alexander, second most whiffs in the entire rotation. Really impressive stuff. Very, very comfortable. And I think a lot more confident people are now in his ability to be this team's 5th starter until Michael Pineda is ready. And then the question becomes, if he continues to be effective, what happens when Pineda comes back up? Right? Does he immediately go into a long reliever role? Maybe do they do like a 6-man rotation-esque thing? I don't think they go straight up with 6, but maybe like every 2 times through the rotation they do 6. But and also maybe you just let him be in the bullpen for the beginning part of the season because inevitably one of your starters is going to get hurt. It's going to happen. And even more inevitably, guaranteed, Matt Manning is going to have an innings limit on him, just like Mize and Scooble did last year. And we don't want what happened last season where we get into the, that July where we're going to limit Scooble and Mize. We're going to limit Manning this year and then look around and go, oh, wait, we have no starting pitching depth. We really can't even afford to do this. And now we're throwing out who even knows, right? So I think Tyler Alexander is going to get plenty of starts this year, even if he's not like a solidified in the rotation kind of a guy. I think he's going to get plenty of opportunities, plenty of starts. Willie Peralta is another guy that's down in the minors. Will absolutely get some time at the major league level. Will absolutely log some starts. Was very effective last season. He's also just getting stretched out. Was a little bit late into camp. So There's your starting pitching breakdown. Tyler Alexander, beautiful performance. The loss is not on him at all. Put us in a position to win. Was winning the game with him on the mound. Just didn't get it done. We'll talk about why we just didn't get it done because there's several reasons. But first, we got to talk about Built Bar. You got to try the puffs, y'all. I've been talking to y'all about it for a long time. You have to try the puffs. If you're missing out, you are missing out if you haven't tried them because they're one of Built Bar's best tasting bars. Puffs are the first ever protein infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy. They're not just a protein bar, they're a treat, and they're covered in 100% real chocolate. Puffs are a fan favorite with some incredible flavors: yummy cinnamony churro, coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie. They're all so good. These are going to be your new favorite if they're not already. They're all covered in 100% chocolate. The Built Bars, the Puffs, everything 100% real chocolate. Low calorie, high protein. Replace your candy bars with these. They are better. A typical candy bar can be anywhere from 200 to 300 calories. I mean, Built Bars are 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, 17 grams of protein. Candy bars, you're talking about 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. Mint brownie, coconut almond, and new for this month, white chocolate cookies and cream. They're all delicious, and new flavors are coming out all the time. They think a flavor might be good, they'll make it. It will be delicious, and it will be good for you. At Built Bar, they're all about the taste. They make it taste delicious first, then figure out how to make it healthy. And I don't know how, but they pull it off every single time. So go to built.com right now. Use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off of your order. That's promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at built.com. All right, everybody. We are back here for segment 2 at Locked On Tigers. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every day. Now make Locked On MLB Prospects one of your listens as well. Host Lindsey Crosby is a prospect encyclopedia, and he's going deep on MLB stars of tomorrow. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. Okay, do we want to talk about the bullpen or the offense? Let's talk about the offense. Let's do the offense first. It was really rough outside of an inning. Simple as that. Didn't even really make noise at the end of the games like we have been earlier this season. For the most part this year, it's been get dominated by the other team's starter, then come back and make a little bit of a rally and make some noise off their bullpen. This game was very much the opposite, but not even really because we hit their starter, Rich Hill, by the way. What is he, 41, 42? Grunting like a tennis player after every throw and topping out at 88. Love the dude to death. Big Rich Hill fan. You want to talk about a funny Players Weekend uniform? Talked about Todd the Painter. His is a classic. That's a hood classic. But it was really one inning. It was what, the third? I want to say, yeah, the third inning. We got all 3 of our runs. Put a great rally together in that inning. Spencer Torkelson finally got his first major league hit. We can all stop talking about this nonsense, and he got his first hit. The couple at bats after that, back to being really passive. It wasn't going to be he gets one hit and then he's just here and everything's going to be fine again. He's going to have to work up to it. But I'd imagine a ton of pressure is off of him now with that first hit out of the way. So we'll gladly take that. Again, man, like as far as the offense goes, it was just quiet. Like Rich Hill was pretty solid outside of the third inning. Obviously, that's the only inning we scored runs in. Like I said, we weren't seeing him too terribly well. His curveball was working really well today. I mean, everything, man. It's so funny when they break down his like pitching repertoire. He has his normal curveball and then his slow curveball. It's hilarious to me because his curveball goes, like 71, 72 miles an hour. But then he has this like, I'm going to slow down my mechanics and just really loft one up there curveball that goes like 66, 67 miles an hour. And I love that they like differentiate the two. Regardless, didn't hit him very well. Weren't able to really ever get in a groove this entire game. We're just never able to square him up. And even in the third, even when we were scoring, I mean, the Torkelson hit, as awesome as it is that he finally has a hit, by a better right fielder, probably it was very catchable. The expected batting average on his first major league hit was like 090. Like probably should not have been a hit. And I mean, Scope's blooper also like a whatever 70 mile an hour exit velocity. Like all of the hits that inning were like 100 or lower expected batting averages. Like should not have been hits. But baseball is baseball, and we lucked out, and that's awesome. Except Javi's. Javi, I think hit the hardest Tigers ball of the year so far. It was like 110 off the bat. That ball was cranked. Um, so yeah, just we're never really able to get in a groove offensively, and that's been a reoccurring theme all season. It's something that clearly needs to be addressed and be worked on. Robbie Grossman off to a really slow start this year, and then in a really wild play where it was clearly a hit and run, and he just never found the ball and just got doubled off. And apparently on that play tweaked something. Now I am recording this right after the game because the Red Wings play after this. I also do Locked On Red Wings. Then I have to record the Red Wings show after that. So this is going to be the only time I have to do this episode is immediately after the Tigers game. At the time of this recording, he's going in for testing. And they are talking about, he tweaked something, but Hinch admitted in the post game that they are afraid that he did a little bit more than just tweak something. So let's talk about the possibilities for what could happen if, I don't even want to say it, if Robbie Grossman were to go to the IL. That would obviously be another pretty big blow. Even though he hasn't been off to a hot start, we all know what Robbie Grossman is. Okay. We all know that he's a very valuable asset to be at the top or anywhere in this lineup because he's going to work counts and draw a lot of walks. Without him, what's the roster move? Well, immediately you go, when is Derek Hill coming back? He's still got a few days left on the IL. I don't think he can come back today right away if Robbie Grossman were to go on. I'm recording this on the 12th. If Robbie Grossman were to go on the IL, on the 12th, I don't think Derek Hill would be able to come off the IL right away. There would at least be a couple of game layover there. So, Daz Cameron seems like the obvious choice, right? Gives you another outfielder for outfield depth. You could also just say, screw it. We're going to have Badu play center every day until Hill is healthy again. We have our corner outfield depth because Hossie can play left and we'll move Meadows to right, or Victor Reyes can play any of those positions. And we're going to call up either another arm or, Cody Clemens has been off to a really hot start. Just go strictly bat and not really worry about it being a specific, it has to be a center fielder. Willie Castro's obviously down there and was the last person to not make the team out of spring. I'll be very interested in seeing whether they go, we need an outfielder that can play center field with this, which Robbie Grossman couldn't play center either, so you don't necessarily need it. But whether they go outfielder, period, I guess I should say, or whether they go, we're just going to go for straight up whoever we think the best bat is that can help the team right away. Willie does have some experience in the outfield, albeit not that great. And then Cody Clemens is obviously strictly pretty much a second baseman only. So it'll be interesting. It'll be really interesting to see what develops out of that and what happens with that, assuming that Grossman were to head to the IL. But fingers crossed that it is just a tweak, and maybe he only just sits out tomorrow, or maybe he's just totally fine in general. I don't know, but not looking great on that front either, and is going to add and continue to pile on the injuries due early on for the Detroit Tigers season. We are going to get into the bullpen this game and how it was not very good. The offense was not very good and was one of the biggest reasons we lost. We only scored everything in one inning, and Garrett Whitlock dominated us, just straight up dominated us for the last several innings. What he pitched the last 3, 7, 8, 9, absolutely dominated us. but the bullpen did not do any favors either. Just it sucks to lose those winnable games, man. We just let this one slip through. So we're going to get into the bullpen right after this. All right, everybody. We are back here for our third and final segment here at Locked On Tigers. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. That's including YouTube. So check us out on YouTube. Okay. The bullpen, not great. Let's talk about it. We went from Tyler Alexander to Jacob Barnes to Joe Jimenez to Alex Lang to Will Vest to Jason Foley. So burned through quite a bit of relievers here. We knew coming into the season. Everybody was, I just hit my mic. I'm sorry if that was loud. Everybody was aware going into the season that the bullpen depth was going to be a problem. Everybody knew because we were starting off the season without Kyle Funkhauser, without Andrew Chafin, without Jose Cisnero. I don't know why I have 4 fingers up. It's only 3 people. Right? 3 of your best relievers immediately. Dunzo. Really sucks. Cisnero, they officially announced he would not be going under surgery. His injury would not result in surgery. Goodness. But is still going to stay on the 60-day. Obviously, he has to at this point. Chafin has been throwing really well, and everybody says he feels really great, but they also said they're not going to rush him at all. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. Maybe one more stint on the IL because I think he's only 1 or 2 days away by the time you're listening to this from technically being eligible to come off the IL. I think he was retroactive on the 4th. So we'll see how he's progressing and such. And then Funkhauser, I don't think anyone's heard anything on Kyle Funkhauser. Like he's still on the 10-day, but I haven't gotten a Funkhauser update in a minute. So I would expect that he's going to take at least 2, maybe even more likely 3 stints on the 10-day before he comes back. So this is going to be a problem early on. It's going to be. And I'll admit this. I don't mind Jacob Barnes. He has a cutter that was also really, really good and a really effective pitch in this game. The problem was his 4-seam fastball is straight as an arrow. Does not move. Not a very effective pitch. And having a 2-pitch mix where your only 2 pitches are really cutter and fastball, some opportunity for deception, but you probably need a 3rd pitch in there. That's a really interesting and kind of weird 2-pitch combo when both of them sit at like the cutter is like 90 miles an hour, 89, 90 miles an hour. Not even. His cutter's like 80, 87, right? And then the 4-seam is a mid-90s. So like you do have some change of velocity there, but like a cutter is really a variation of a fastball. So it's just kind of a weird thing to me to have that be your 2-pitch mix. Regardless, the 4-seam was not effective at all, and Boston hit it all over the yard. Average, there was only 2 balls put in play, and they were both smoked off the 4-seam. And people are like, oh, like why are you going to Jacob Barnes in that situation? You don't have too many other options, dog. Like it really is a thin bullpen, man. It really is. It sucks, but it is. You're not going to Soto there. You're not going to Fulmer there. You went to Lang later in the game when it was tied, and we'll talk about how that worked out because it was not great. You want to go to Lang later. Who else is there to really go to? Usually, that's a prime Funkhauser situation. Prime. First dude out of the pen, still winning the ball game, want to bring him in and shut down the inning. Prime Kyle Funkhauser situation last year, or Jose Cisnero. You don't have those. Really, really sucks, man. But that's the reality that we're in. So you kind of had to go to somebody. Well, obviously you had to go to somebody if you were pulling them, but you had to go to somebody that usually would not be put in this situation. You're going to need guys to step up. You're going to need guys to step up until don't know what's going on with my hair there. I don't know. It looks weird. I don't know. There's like a little bit sticking up. You're going to have to go with dudes that aren't usually in that situation. That's what it comes down to. So Jacob Barnes gets the call out of the pen. Like it or not, that's what happened. Did not look great. Joe Jimenez came out after that, and he looked really solid. That's like some of the best I've seen Joe Jimenez look in a while, specifically the fastball. His fastball looked phenomenal. Consistent 94 to 96. Did not dip lower than 94.5 miles an hour. Did not go above 96.1 miles an hour. Just consistent through it 13 times, all in that 95 range. Just pumping it out. Really, really effective. I thought the location, there was only one fastball I remember that missed the glove by like a ton that he clearly just missed his spot on. So besides that one pitch, I thought he spotted it pretty well. The slider was really effective for Joe Jimenez. Really, really effective. And then the changeup he only threw one time, but that fastball slider combo is what made him so effective in the first half of 2018, and what he built his whole reputation on coming up through the system. That was it. It was like, hey, this dude's got a really lively fastball and a really good slider to combat it and to pair with it. And we saw it. He had a really good inning. The walk, the command got away from him a little bit. Besides the walk, I mean, the other three batters really didn't even stand a chance. It was a really, really solid inning. I was very impressed by Joe Jimenez. And if we want to win some games with how shallow this bullpen is, like we talked about, we're going to need dudes like Joe Jimenez to step up. We're also going to need dudes like Alex Lang to step up, and he certainly did not do that. Obviously, everybody who's listened to me for a while and has listened to me at all this season knows I'm a huge fan of Alex Lang. I think that he is he has the potential to be unbelievable. His stuff is filthy. I believe he leads the team in whiffs this season, and he has pitched two and 2.2 innings, and I think he leads the entire team in whiffs this year. Really, really nasty stuff. Unreal swing and miss stuff. The problem is, and I have been open about this since I started singing the praises of him, is the command. And today it was brutal. Brutal. Like, not even in the same area code, not even in the same zip code. What's bigger, area code or zip code? Somebody will know that. But going to take a much bigger person than me. I don't know the answer to that. But, I mean, it was really bad. Was missing glove by I mean, at one point, feet. Like, was aiming low and outside and was hitting people, was aiming low and outside and was brushing people back and making people fall over, was aiming low and missing at eye level. I mean, it was truly all over the place. He didn't even throw a called strike the entire outing. He did not throw a called strike. He induced 2 swings and misses in 15 pitches. Did not receive a single called strike the entire outing. 3 foul balls, 2 balls in play, 2 whiffs, 7 swings, 0 called strikes. Certainly not great. And like, so you look at, some of the underlying numbers. You're like, wow, the 4-seam fastball, he threw it 6 times. It didn't get put in play 1 time. Well, that's because he didn't throw it for a strike. Literally 1 time. It got fouled off twice. And the other 4 pitches weren't put in play. None of them were strikes, though. None of them were really even close to strikes. It was just not his day. The command was really all over the place. I will say, though, there tends to be a big overreaction when a reliever has a bad outing. It's one bad outing. If you remove, well, you can't play the if you remove game, but leading up to today, I'll word it that way so that it's more acceptable. Leading up to today, right? He had been really effective this season. Really effective. And I think he will be a really effective pitcher for this team. And I think that he has the potential to be a really effective reliever for a very long time, in all honesty. But he's going to have outings like this, and he's going to be put in high leverage situations, and he's going to walk people. It's going to happen. So as long as you realize that going into every Alex Lang start and realize this is going to be his first full season in the majors, like a lot of people on this team, by the way. Just take him as he is right now. Look for the signs of development. Look where the catcher's setting up. Look where he's trying, situationally. Pay attention to the count and where you think the ball should go and in what pitch you should throw in which count and all that. Look for his development because the dude's ceiling, as we love to say here, is through the roof, right? Will Vest came in a mop-up role. I didn't think he looked that bad. The one pitch, obviously, that got cranked down the left field line to blow the game open. I mean, we only lost by 2, but to lose the lead was obviously not a very good pitch and called way too much of the play. But I mean, what are you gonna do? Like he came in a mop-up role. There were already runners on base. That's a really tough situation for any reliever to be put in. Nonetheless, a dude that has half a year of major league experience and was a Rule 5 pick last year. So for the situation he was put in, I didn't mind it. I thought the slider actually looked really good. Again, outside of the the slider was put in play once for Will Vest. He threw it 5 times, was put in play once, and that ball was cranked and gave up a run. However, I thought it was a pretty effective pitch, and I really like the shape of his slider. I think it's shaped really well. So whatever. I'm not gonna get too riled up over Will Vest's performance. That's just really not a fun situation to be put in. And again, it's just highlighting how shallow and lack how much this bullpen lacks depth at this point in the season, and it's very prominent. Last person, Jason Foley. Look, I'll be completely honest. I have not been very impressed with Foley so far this season. It's a small sample size, just like I say with all of a lot of the other players that are struggling and a lot of hitters. Um, but the thing that makes me more concerned with him than anybody else is that like his stuff just doesn't look major league ready. Like it's just a stuff thing. And like you can develop command, you can develop stuff too, but it's hard to develop stuff when you're going out there twice a week and giving up a ton of hard contact and giving up a lot of runs. Um, and like his underlying numbers aren't horrible. Like it wasn't that bad of an outing for Foley, to be honest with you. But it's just one of those things when you watch the stuff that he's throwing out there. I'm not 100% sure that it is that great or has the potential to be that effective. That's all. And again, it's something that can be developed, and maybe he goes down to AAA and works on the shape of stuff, maybe tries some new grips, etc., and can come back. But last year, I remember being a lot more impressed, I guess is the word, with the stuff that he was showcasing than I have so far this year. So he's going to be someone to keep an eye on for maybe an early candidate to go down to AAA and maybe at the expense of a Willie Peralta or Michael Pineda when he's ready. Okay, I think that will do it. I think that's everything I wanted to cover. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On MLB. Host Paul Francis Sullivan, please call him Sully, brings you his unique perspective on the majors, both past and present. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. I know yesterday there was a couple of spots where the audio got a little weird. I don't know what that was all about. Everything on my end was great. Maybe it was a YouTube thing. Not really sure. But hopefully this episode's a little bit better. And yeah, you guys are the best for real. The support so far this season has been unbelievable. All of our numbers are fantastic. They keep going up. It's going to be a really really fun year. I just the community that Locked On Tigers is awesome. Maybe we create like a Locked On Tigers, like that one of those Twitter community things. I don't really know what I'm doing with those. I'm not in any because I'm kind of scared of like new things. But maybe we'll see. Maybe I'll mess with some stuff. We can do some Twitter spaces too. We're gonna have a really fun year. It's gonna be a really fun year, and I can't wait to interact with. I've already interacted with so many of you, and do interact with a lot of you on. I mean, nearly a daily basis, right? Like it's a crazy thing. Technology and the internet is. Okay, that's it. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. Oh, one more thing, really quickly. I've gotten some comments on the backdrop I got. right? This picture right here is Kirk Gibson after he hit the home run with his arms in the air, right? In 84. This is a Lions banner that I really like. And like, that's it. That's all I have right now. I have more stuff that it's a work in progress. It's not like, hey, I'm locked on Tigers. Here's just like one thing of the Lions and that's it. There is a Tigers picture here. I know it's at the angle it's at. Maybe it's hard to tell what it is, but that's Kirk Gibson celebrating the homer in 84. And then we have that. I have a lot more Tiger stuff that I'm currently working on adding to this wall. I have Pistons stuff. I have a Pistons flag somewhere. I have a ton of Red Wings stuff. Obviously, I host Locked On Red Wings too. I just want like an entire Detroit sports like mayhem going on back there. So I know that you're like, I've got a lot of questions about like, hey, maybe like lose the Lions thing. It's a work in progress, and the end result will just be all Detroit sports. Okay, I'm trying to get a frame for this. I just got this in the mail a couple of days ago. Trying to get a frame for that, and this will be up here somewhere as well. It's going to be super cool when it's. I got a game plan. Okay, I got a game plan. Just wanted to point that out. Okay, we are way over time. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. I will catch y'all tomorrow, hopefully recapping a Tigers series victory over the Boston Red Sox. Go Tigers, baby.